Sickos Club.
Sickos Club.
Professional wrestling. Professional wrestling.
Hello, wrestling fans. I'm your host, the toast of the Third Coast, Professor Degree. With me, as always, the host of our sister show, your second favorite podcast, Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out. I, Blade Daly. This is Pro Wrestling Forever. Blade, how you doing today?
It's my first favorite podcast.
But I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them. It's their second
I
favorite
bet
podcast.
there's one person who would think it's better.
You?
It's
There's
still
one.
me. Yeah,
There's
it's still
one.
me.
Your
All right,
mom.
let's
Your mom
move
doesn't
forward.
count. So today's episode takes place at the crossroads where quantum physics meet Jim Crockett Promotions. Today's episode of Pro Wrestling Forever is the first in a series titled Into the Wrestleverse.
First.
Yeah, I was thinking you would do that in post. So
No.
let me give you the setup. August 29th, 1988, the very first SummerSlam was held. The main event featured Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, the Mega Powers versus the Mega Bucks, Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant. Special guest referee was none other than Jesse the Body Ventura. So this is the first SummerSlam. It's a follow-up to WrestleMania 4, which was held the previous March and featured a one-night tournament for the vacated WWF Championship, in which Randy Savage defeated Ted DiBiase in the finals. The title had been held up due to some shenanigans. I'll allow you to peruse the interwebs and find that out on your own. But here's the crux of the biscuit. There's been rumors for years, which were eventually confirmed by various people in the wrestling industry, that Vince McMahon had made a play for Ric Flair. He wanted Flair to show up at SummerSlam 88 to leave the NWA, where he had been the champion for a number of years. We think this event, if it would have happened, would have had, I don't know, seismic, universe-shaping repercussions. So we're going to get into that. We're going to take some questions from you, and we're just going to kind of discuss and do some fantasy booking and basically just make a bunch of shit up like a couple of fucking fanboys. Blade?
Yeah, no, well said. We are going to be talking about what I believe would have been a cataclysmic event in the world of pro wrestling, because the more we pulled this apart, the more we realized how much it would affect literally everyone else. We should also mention that the sources for this are Ric Flair and Bruce Pritchard, two guys with a pretty bad command of the truth. So Ric Flair had said that, so basically what the reason Flair was available was that Jim Crockett Promotions wasn't paying him on time. They weren't paying anyone on time. Everyone's contract had been voided, essentially, because they'd all been breached because they weren't being paid on time. However, unlike ECW, they still were being paid. So Flair was free to negotiate with whoever he wanted. Vince McMahon understood this and tried to reach out to Rick. There was a little back and forth. And what Flair said was he stayed with what became WCW because he understood that Jim Crockett had promised Ted Turner that Ric Flair was going to be part of the deal. And he felt an obligation to stay. I don't know how true any of that is, but the rumor is that for a long time, I've heard that Vince wanted Ric Flair to show up on the Brother Love show as a special guest at SummerSlam 88. Wow.
Yeah. So, and I think with the recent death of Ted Turner and a lot of the discussions surrounding him, again, that kind of puts a little more weight on this. It kind of gives you a little more perspective, I guess. And the role that Ted Turner really played in professional wrestling, I don't think it's outlandish to say that if he was not involved, pro wrestling would be hugely different. We're going to kind of get into that now. So what do you want to get into? You want to get into SummerSlam first, or do you want to get into the state of you kind of gave us the state of the NWA.
Well, actually, so you have the state of WWF first, right? Which is Savage is the champion. Hogan is off filming No Holds Barred.
Right.
He's still headlining every major pay-per-view. There's only 4 at the time, so it's easier to do.
Well,
actually,
and there's
only
4. There's 3. This is 4.
There's 3 because the Royal Rumble isn't a pay-per-view yet. So
right.
Hogan is still really Savage is keeping this belt warm for Hogan. Right. But there's really only one main guy in WWF at this time, and it's Hulk Hogan. And Macho Man Randy Savage, honestly, the house business holds up really well while he's champion. A lot of people are very impressed with how he does as world champion because the Macho Man was fucking awesome. And that's
this is a trend you see all the way until today in the WWF or WWE. This is the guy on top, and then this is the guy that everybody actually wants to be on top, but he's not going to be on top because this is the guy on top. I can't speak for all the fans, but I can tell you that in 1988, when I was a little kid riding the bus, all the older kids loved Randy Savage, and they were already done with Hulk Hogan. So whether it be John Cena and CM Punk, or whether it be Roman Reigns and Bryan Danielson, just keeps on, or Roman Reigns and I don't know, name a lot of people.
It was,
it's just a thing that goes on. It's how they
Hulk
run
Hogan
that
has been
business.
templated by Vince McMahon over and over to varying degrees of success. I would say maybe the best template is like John Cena.
For sure.
The worst template was pre heel turn Roman Reigns. Just a guy not meant to be that, you know, or Lex Luger might be the other runner up for that. So we have, that's kind of the situation in the WWF, but we also have in Jim Crockett Promotions, Ric Flair is arguably the same guy. He is the top guy without a doubt. He's barely a heel because the crowd cheers him constantly. All right. He is the fucking man. And before Ric Flair was a fucking pathetic shell of a human being threatening to sue his own son publicly and passing out in the streets of Florida, so much so that there's a subreddit dedicated to people sharing their experiences of encountering this. He was one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
He was the man.
That's an immutable fact. Okay. I don't like Richard Fleer. Ric Flair was the fucking man. And no matter who won the belt from him, they were just keeping it warm for him too. But he lost it a little more than Hogan did. So,
which was to say that Hogan did not lose it for like 5 years straight.
Right.
This
Hogan
is the first. I mean, Savage picking the belt up. He's the next guy after Hogan. It goes.
That's
Hogan
4 years after Hogan won it first. Yeah.
Is Randy Savage. So,
but Flair has a couple title reigns that last like 2 or 3 years.
And that's just WWF's way of doing business. Pedro Morales did the same thing. Bruno Sammartino was the same thing. Bob Backlund, those guys, they just held the belt for 4 or 5 years. That was just the way it was back then.
Right.
So that's not, and it also
contrasts the booking difference between Crockett and WWF, which is Crockett booked for heat and Vince booked for the big baby faces. He booked to have you leave feeling good. Yeah. Whereas Crockett booked to have you fucking pissed and want to see that guy get his ass kicked.
Right. You're paying money to show up to watch that guy get his ass beat next month. Yeah.
So in the 80s, Flair loses the title to Harley Race. He wins it back at the first Starrcade. He loses it to Dusty Rhodes, wins it back 3 days later. He loses it to Kerry Von Erich. He wins it back 2 weeks later. And finally, fucking the greatest champion of the 80s besides Flair, Ron Garvin. He beats him. Ron Garvin never defends the title once while he's champion, gets a special exemption from the NWA not to defend it, then loses it in a cage match to Flair at Starrcade 87. Then Flair loses it to Ricky Steamboat for 2 months after that and wins it back.
Meanwhile, Hogan held the belt for 5 years.
Yeah. Hogan's the champion the entire
time. So anyway, here we are. Do you want to look at the chat, or do you want to go straight into?
Yeah, let's jump into the chat before we go deep into the Wrestleverse.
Well, here's Antoine. Makes you already think if one of the greatest 80s feuds in 89 had never happened. Well, Antoine, that's actually what we're going to be talking about, but we're going to get there. Skewered Universe asks, am I the only one that hated Brother Love? You are not the only one.
You were supposed to hate Brother Love. I mean, he's actually a
Yeah.
pretty hilarious parody of televised televangelism, in my opinion. But yeah, I hated
You were
his guts.
supposed to hate him. I hated him. I got that as a kid, but I still just thought he was fucking irritating. What's interesting is now I appreciate Brother Love, but goddamn Bruce Pritchard. Like,
Bruce Pritchard sucks.
I can't stand that dude.
Yeah.
Cannot stand him. Bleary Line says it's kind of a miracle that Flair turned out how he did, mostly since, at least from a purely wrestling perspective, Flair was pretty honorable in wrestling. I guess I don't really know that much about him, but that sounds right. I mean, yeah, if he said he was going to be there, he was there, right? I mean,
he knew how to maintain his position and play politics like everybody, but that's just wrestling, you know?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, he was pretty much staying with Crockett. I don't know, maybe not as a favor, but like, you know, it was the right thing to do. It was a handshake deal. Are we putting up that one or no?
Yeah. Bruce can suck a fat infected one from Skeward. Yeah, I agree. And then Book says, I have no idea what we are talking about. Books.
Just wait. It's going to get even more confusing.
Well, here's the thing, Books, we're making an offer to you live on the air. We want you to come on the show next week with us and review SummerSlam 88, the real one that actually happened. We want you to come watch that show with us because you've never seen it. You'll have no idea who any of these people are. And we want your impressions of who they are.
And we want your impression of Randy Savage.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So, Books, hopefully you'll join us next week. So,
back to the show. SummerSlam
back to the
88. So, okay. So let's say he shows up.
Yep.
He shows up on Brother Love, and then typical WWF at the time is to do a bunch of vignettes, whether it's Dusty Rhodes delivering pizza or Vader bouncing on a trampoline. That's kind of like the standard thing. You know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Sure do.
So
bud.
they probably would have done that. You probably would have seen him doing some Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous shit, I'm guessing, which begs a bigger question. What happens to Ted DiBiase at that point? Get into that in a minute, unless you want to get into it now.
This is the butterfly effect, and boy, it is big.
Because
big
Ted
butterfly.
DiBiase, okay, so they say that apparently, I think Pritchard actually said that the $1 Million Man is the gimmick Vince McMahon would be if he could be a pro wrestler.
That's what he told DiBiase to sell it to him.
To sell it to him, right. But DiBiase at least, is drawing from the same well that Flair would be drawing from. The rich guy, the aristocrat, the asshole. Took it down a different path than Flair did. But do you need Ted DiBiase when you have Ric Flair? Because when Flair shows up, when does Flair actually show up in the WWF? 91?
91.
And DiBiase
91.
just kind of gets shuffled off into the background, which he kind of was already fading away, but
was already over. I mean, it ran the usual course that anybody in that top heel position had at the time.
You don't stick around for too long. So let's say they do this. They're running vignettes. It's worth noting that in real life, in this timeline, in October, which is just 2 months later, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard show up in the WWF as a team.
This really happened.
In real life. What's the reason why?
Because they were being vastly underpaid, and they were pissed off because Crockett wasn't willing to do anything to keep them, really, and they were being paid less than Jim Cornette.
Fuck that. So they show up in the WWF. They're managed in real life by Bobby the Brain Heenan. So it only takes a little bit of effort to assume that Bobby Heenan would have been managing Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard, who are 2/3 of the Four Horsemen. So
I have a way you can get to Flair, kind of his quest. All right. My theory is Ric Flair shows up with Bobby Heenan. He starts calling out Hogan just like he did in 91. Right. Hogan's not the champion. Okay.
Right.
Savage is infuriated that Ric Flair, the champion from the NWA, is calling out Hogan, not him. Like, I'm the champ around here, brother. He's fucking infuriated and insulted.
Right.
And this is exactly what Ric Flair wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's playing mind games. He's calling out Hogan. Savage goes, well, you haven't really earned your way to a title shot yet, but I'll still fight you. And Flair goes, no, big man. No, big man. I'm not fighting you unless it's for the title. They make a match for Saturday night's main event.
Mm-hmm.
Tully and Arn are not in the scene yet. It's just Flair and Bobby the Brain. Okay. During the match on Saturday night's main event, Bobby the Brain brings out some people during the match. There's a ref bump. Something happens.
Right.
Arn and Tully make their presence known.
Mm-hmm.
They destroy the Macho Man. And Ric Flair wins the world title on Saturday night's main event.
Mm-hmm.
Then Savage, even more infuriated now, right? His pride has been taken away too, right? His team challenges Flair's team at Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, but there's only 3.
Right.
Barry Windham shows up during the match as their mystery partner, let's say. They eliminate all of Savage's partners. And the Horsemen, who don't ever care about winning matches like this, because what's the stakes for this match? They don't give a shit. They just all destroy Randy Savage at the same time.
Right.
Like, they break his fucking ankle or something with a chair.
Mm-hmm.
They Pillmanize him. They do something absolutely horrible. Okay. And maybe Sherry Martel becomes the manager of the Horsemen with Bobby Heenan.
Right.
She takes out Elizabeth, right?
Hogan takes Elizabeth to the back for emergency treatment, leaving Savage alone, deserting Savage even.
Leaving Savage to be killed by this entire team. Savage is killed by this entire team. They're disqualified. I mean, Savage wins the match, but it doesn't even matter.
Right. He's on
Stewart
the shelf.
Universe with the call-out blade. I believe you mean the Widowmaker. Exactly.
Is Barry
my man.
in WWF at that point? I think
no,
he's
not
back
quite yet.
in NWA at that point.
88, he's still in the NWA.
Right.
He's the U.S. champion.
Right.
But he's about to leave. I mean, he's really, really close to leaving.
Flip-flopping back and forth a lot through the 80s and 90s. So it's not outlandish to think he'd be back.
Right. Well, and certainly, I mean, our argument is essentially if Ric Flair isn't part of the deal, that Ted Turner doesn't buy Jim Crockett Promotions.
Well, you're getting ahead of yourself.
I'm just saying there's a lot of people available. There's a lot of people available.
Yeah.
So, Flair is the WWF champion.
Right.
He holds on to the belt, keeps calling out Hogan. There's a parade of baby faces. There's a parade of babyface challengers that are dealt with as they come.
Right. Well, and also keep in mind, this is the first time, I mean, the Four Horsemen are a template for gang warfare. WWF has never seen that. You know what I mean? They've never seen people. They've already run roughshod through one company. Now they show up in the other company and they start fucking taking people out left and right. It's unheard of. It's crazy.
Right. And
it goes.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, basically that's your WrestleMania 5 main event, right? Hogan versus Flair.
Instead of Savage and Hogan.
Right.
Instead of Hogan and Savage at 5, it's going to lead to Flair and Hogan at 5. Now imagine for a minute, Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan in 1989 instead of 1994.
91 or whenever we saw them. Yeah.
Really? 94 was the only time they ever fought on a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
They never did.
It's all house shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you've got, furthering the story, you've got Flair's got Sensational Sherry on his side. So Hogan, of course, still has Liz as his backup, and Savage is, in the hospital for however many weeks or months or however long it is. Go on. Hogan presumably wins it.
We're gonna go with the idea that Hulk Hogan beats Flair at WrestleMania 5 because that is the thing Vince McMahon would have most likely done, right? Hogan always has, Hogan most pose, whatever the stereotype.
Hogan's going to win it at that point, yeah.
Hogan overcomes all the Horsemen, overcomes everything, and it's Hogan and Elizabeth in the ring together.
Posing down.
Hogan
She's
has
on
her
his
up on his
shoulder.
shoulder, just like Macho Man.
Flair's defeated and humiliated. Maybe Demolition got the tag belts back from the Brainbusters. I don't know.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Hogan does the Macho Man finger thing and turns around in a circle as a tribute. But
and he's standing there at the aisle. Well, he doesn't show up on Raw the next night.
Yeah, there's no Raw at the time. But Macho is not happy. Okay. But he shows up. He tells Hogan, he does what Macho Man would do. He would tell him, hey, she's mine. You know, that, she's mine. You can't,
you got lust in your eyes, brother.
You've got lust in your eyes. But he shakes Hogan's hand to pretend like everything's okay. And just a few weeks later, Savage picks his spot and turns on Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
That feud becomes WrestleMania 6. You never have the Ultimate Warrior and Hogan in the main event. And the Ultimate Warrior never becomes the World Heavyweight Champion because there's no WCW.
You don't need him. So
you don't need him.
It's worth noting at SummerSlam 88, the moment that we dropped the pebble in the pond and that causes the ripples. That was the night that the Ultimate Warrior ended the Honky Tonk Man's, 14-month reign as Intercontinental Champion. Surprise entrant. It was supposed to be Brutus Beefcake. Beefcake wasn't there. Ultimate Warrior shows up. And then the Warrior just kind of rode that Intercontinental title until WrestleMania 6. But you don't need him to do that here.
No.
We don't need a Warrior because we have Savage.
Well, and I think having Savage to lean on into 90, you have Flair who can feud with all these other people. Now, he can elevate people like Bret Hart. He can elevate the Shawn Michaels. He can elevate these other people. The Horsemen can stay a unit. You can have maybe down the road, you can have a Bret Hart join the Horsemen. They turn on Barry Windham so he can have a babyface run and Bret Hart replaces him or whatever.
Well, yeah. Or if the NWA in a final desperate gasp starts throwing money at Barry Windham saying, we're going to make you the man, you're the guy, we're finally going to promote you. And that leaves an empty spot. You don't need to have the Brainbusters leaving. So all this, Savage ends up being the odd man out. I mean, isn't he kind of always the odd man out?
That's Savage's like gimmick. He's always the odd man out. He always played second fiddle to Hogan and he knew it. And when he wasn't playing second fiddle to Hogan, he was trying to play second fiddle to Hogan. Behind the scenes. That's really true. Randy, I think, would always be built to be Hulk's nemesis, no matter how you got there. Because
I think they would have, yeah. Well, because if you keep Randy as a good guy, he overshadows Hulk. He's cooler than Hulk Hogan.
He's way cooler.
Isn't going to gravitate like I said, I know this isn't like the fucking scientific litmus test, but like all the kids on the bus liked Randy Savage. You were 40 years later, and do you like Hogan or Savage? Right. I mean, even still to this day, Randy Savage did cartoons. Randy Savage, everybody he was in fucking Spider-Man.
He was
had
a cultural icon.
Yeah,
he's a cultural icon.
And yes, Hogan was too, but Savage did it while having Hogan's thumb on the scale, basically. Hogan's doing everything in his power to not let Randy be that guy. And he was. So yeah, if Randy's a good guy, no, it's not going to work. They have to make him a bad guy.
So you have. So Antoine says that's not I think Savage becomes a bigger star with Flair there earlier. We all hated Hogan. He just would have had more gloating time. Probably, but that's an interesting point. What if, we're sitting here saying that there's no need for the Ultimate Warrior. Oh shit. What if Hogan starts getting phased out a little earlier? Well, and that's what I was just about to say. So we know that by 1990, Vince thinks that Hogan needs to be replaced. And that he's starting to feel the urge to replace Hulk Hogan. Right. I don't think he would have replaced him with Macho Man because he thought Macho Man was old too. Right. However, if Ric Flair isn't part of this Turner deal, let's just say it was all true. Turner doesn't buy doesn't buy Jim Crockett Promotions. It's just a dead entity now. I have SmackDown Hotel pulled up right now, and I'm looking at the 1988 roster of Jim Crockett Promotions. The free agents just on the open market are Bam Bam Bigelow, Bobby Eaton, Dennis Condrey, Dick Murdoch, Dr. Death Steve Williams, Dusty Rhodes, Eddie Gilbert, Ivan Koloff, Jim Ross, Jim Cornette, J.J. Dillon, Kendall Windham, Kevin Sullivan, Larry Zbyszko, Lex Luger, Mike Rotunda, Nikita Koloff, Paulie Dangerously, Paul Ellering, Rick Steiner, the Road Warriors, Ron Simmons, very, very green Ron Simmons, Russian Assassin 2. I don't know why only 2 is there. Stan Lane and Sting.
Soon to be followed by Scott Steiner, too, because you've already got Rick.
Right. Scott's going to show up. Right.
So in this scenario, Jim Crockett doesn't sell to Turner. It doesn't mean Crockett goes out of business right away. It doesn't mean the NWA disappears right away. But all those dudes are available, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
NWA is going to throw a little money at some of them. They're going to try to keep some of the dudes that they want. But somebody's going to go up north. And I'm thinking Luger and Sting are pretty much shoo-ins.
I think Luger and Sting definitely. So here's why the Warrior becomes completely disposable. Because Vince McMahon would have gotten such a boner for Lex Luger. It wouldn't even be funny. Okay. Lex Luger at this time. And Lex Luger very likely would have been the understudy of Hulk Hogan. While he's there. I think Vince would have built up Lex Luger to be the next Hulk Hogan. He would have tried with all of his heart.
In 1989? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because that's young Luger. It's before he got bored with the business. It's before he turned into the Luger that we didn't really like so much in the early 2000s. Yeah, absolutely. He would, and he's blonde, he's buff, he's fucking got a crazy physique, and he's got an alliterative name, which we know Vince McMahon absolutely adores.
Yes.
So yeah, you don't need the Warrior. And the Warrior's a jerk. The Warrior's an asshole. Why would you want to deal with him if you don't have to, you know?
Well, and you and I were talking offline, like you book the Warrior the way he booked Attraction baby faces. You book him the same way you book Andre the Giant. You just have him wrestle every once in a while. Then you have him disappear for long stretches. He wasn't really good with people, so he can't be a company representative anywhere. He's not a good wrestler, so he can't like go to other places and represent the company there.
Right. So you just use him.
He just gets fired, quite honestly.
It might be, yeah.
But you have Lex Luger, and then as a backup, in Vince's world, I think Sting is Luger's backup, not the other way around. You know what I mean?
In Vince's world, absolutely, yeah. Or Sting's part of a tag team, or Sting is, who knows where else he would have been. Let's see what folks are talking about this business.
Yeah, we got some talk going on here.
Larry, Rotunda, Koloff, the Steiners would have been snatched up. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Can you imagine Vince with Nikita Koloff?
Oh, yeah. Nikita, definitely. Having maybe Hogan in a non-title feud with Nikita Koloff.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I think Ron Simmons would have been buried, but that's WWF too, right? What is this? This would be a very fun
JOWTEW scenario to play out. I'm not familiar. Larry, could you elaborate, please?
Yes. Luger negates the need for the other. Absolutely. What if you had a version of the Ultimate Warrior that wasn't an asshole and could mostly wrestle?
Yeah. I mean, Lex Luger would be the superior Ultimate Warrior if you actually gave him the gimmick, but Hellwig already had the gimmick at this time. So, can't
that's
go
another
back and
episode
that far. Yeah.
But it's the 80s and Sting would have been white hot, and he absolutely would have been white hot.
He would have been white hot. And this is why I figured they would have definitely signed him, is because he already would have had the 45-minute draw with Flair at the Clash of Champions earlier this same year.
Oh, here we go. Journey of Wrestling and TEW are both booking sim games. Oh, cool.
Ooh, that's cool.
That is really cool. Yeah. So, I mean, it changes everything. I don't think, because what was the reason for Arn and Tully leaving WWF? Just
They
time,
left WWF because they were not making the money that Vince promised them. So they had downside guarantees that were very small back in those days. Vince didn't guarantee you shit.
Right.
He said, but you'll always make more money with me, pal. And what he told them they would definitely make better than.
They didn't make.
They didn't even get to that amount. And so they were like, we're done. We want out. And that's when they drop a drug test on Tully Blanchard.
Right.
You know.
But in this scenario, they'd have been making bank. Those guys would have been in part of the biggest storyline in the business. So, yeah, they absolutely would have stuck around. Yeah, Tony Khan is a big TEW guy. That makes
a lot of sense. Yeah.
So here's another question. Since I think we've kind of gone through basically our opening scenario of what we think would have happened, let's say Barry Windham's not available. Let's say Jim Crockett either is or isn't in charge of the NWA. I don't know what happens to the NWA, but
he's not. He wouldn't be.
No, because he was already on his way out.
Yeah.
So, but whoever is in charge.
Oh, and he just blew it, you know?
Yeah. They say, Barry, now you're the last guy we've got left. You're Barry Windham. You're a second generation star. He gets elevated up to the world title and he stays in the NWA. Who are the other folks? Antoine is already answering my question. Who else could have been in the Horsemen? Who would have been the fourth man? Kurt Hennig would have been, was he in the AWA at that point?
No, he was in WWF by this point.
He was already there?
He had just debuted in the WWF in 88.
Yeah. So he's like your young buck. He's your young guy that you're like, you know. Yep. Rick Rude is in the Heenan family at this point.
Yep.
And I think Rude is a pretty
solid
easy pick to throw him in the Horsemen. Andre the Giant is in the Heenan family. And Andre could be right. Big, huge, 4 fucking enormous fingers.
Seeing Andre do the 4 would have been so dope.
It's the I mean, look, Vince gave Andre the belt just so he'd always have that spot in the history. You know what I mean? It's a 5-second reign, whatever. Vince loved Andre. Andre was in a tag team with Haku, right? So that Haku could do all the work and Andre would just stand there.
Yeah.
Well, imagine there's 3 other guys to do all the work for him.
Right.
And he's just the muscle. Andre's a perfect fit. I think it's worth mentioning that because it's Vince McMahon, because it's 1988 leading into 1989, Zeus could have been an option. Zeus absolutely could have been an option. And as much as we all fucking hate to admit it, that's a pretty real, that's a possibility.
Really in private pushing the theory that Zeus could have been the fourth
I am
horseman.
absolutely pushing the theory that Zeus could have been the fourth
insane.
Horseman. Zeus headlined SummerSlam the following year. Did he not?
Hey, Antoine has a response to this. Oh my God, no.
I'm not saying I want it.
No.
I'm not saying I want it. I'm just saying let's be realistic here. This man put Dusty Rhodes in polka dots. He might have put Zeus in the Horseman.
It's not impossible. And maybe Flair, after he drops the belt to Hogan, him and Zeus tag team against Savage and Hogan at SummerSlam or something. Like who's to say? Yeah. Or Luger.
The thing is, because this is the timeline I will not accept. We're going to sit here and we're going to say that the NWA goes out of business. We're going to say that Ric Flair wins the WWF title in 1988. But I am not going to live in a world in which Tiny Lister doesn't eventually play Debo in Friday. And this is his first big claim to fame. You need SummerSlam. You can fucking shit on Zeus all you want, but it ends up with Friday. I'm willing to
fucking love Debo, dude. I fucking love Tiny Lister. I'm a big Tiny Lister fan. I have the Hogan versus Zeus San Diego Comic-Con only.
Exactly.
I love that shit.
So I love that shit. Zeus might have been horrible, but the eventual thing we got down the road was Friday, and I'm willing to deal with it.
Well, you already got a summer of it anyway, right? You got a summer of it. I don't see Hercules, Antoine. I just don't. He was a guy like, how I said you could book the Warrior as like more of like an attraction. You have him come back and beat guys like Hercules,
Right. Hercules is like a gatekeeper guy, right? Hercules, if maybe he would have realized that you can go to the tanner and tan your legs as well as the top half of your body, maybe Hercules could have been a bigger star.
You can only tan the top, bud. Only the top. Only the top. Skewer Universe hates the idea of Zeus as
But he
well.
says we're overlooking the obvious, and I wonder what the obvious is. Oh, well, I mean, come on, that's a given. Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
Barry Horowitz is the fourth horseman,
Stewart
right?
Universe thinks Barry Horowitz might have made a great horseman. He's about the same caliber as Paul Roma. So
Right, yeah.
you never know. You never know.
So, okay, if nobody else in the chat has any other horseman suggestions, here's another question. I want to get back into this a minute. What does Ted DiBiase do?
Well, and we talked about that at the top.
He's redundant. Do you think he leaves?
I think Ted DiBiase gives his notice because the $1 Million Man gimmick is done.
It's kaput.
With Ric Flair there. You don't need it. It's basically the same gimmick. It's just, so I think Ted DiBiase is a guy that the remaining NWA partners.
Sure.
Because you're saying the NWA goes away. No, Jim Crockett goes away. That's a different deal. So I think you're very correct that somebody would have thrown a bucket load of money at Barry Windham. And I think Ted's another guy they would throw up.
Oh, for sure.
Because Ted had carried a promotion on his back before. You need guys like that. Maybe Barry, who has carried Florida before. Barry and Ted are your babyface and heel at the top of world class, at the top of where you also still have the Von Erichs, right? However, 88 is the year Fritz sells world class. So maybe that doesn't happen with all of this going on. Vern Gagne is still running the AWA, but this is the death knell.
Where's the AWA in 1988?
Well, that's the year
Turkey
that
on a pole match.
Waller unified the Memphis and AWA title, and then they never paid Jerry Lawler, and they stripped him of the belt because he wouldn't defend it because he never got paid to defend it. So that's another question. And you also have all these people in Crockett who are free agents. I think Dr. Death, you're going to see him go to Japan. Bam Bam Bigelow, I imagine he ends up in Japan. Has
he been in Japan at this point already or no?
I don't think so. So
he just either goes a little earlier or whatever.
He goes a little earlier. Yep. But you also have, you have the Midnights are free agents, and I think that that's a very promising thing. The Rock and Roll Express were gone at this time as well, so they might have hooked up and done that same feud in Memphis or in Texas or wherever. Agree with you, Blurry Line. Bam Bam was fucking awesome. I'm so glad he got to be ECW champion because him not being a world champion would have been a crime.
Yeah.
Really would have.
Yeah. Bigelow was amazing in his day. I rave about the dude's name, but everything about that guy was perfect, dude.
Bam Bam ruled.
The tattoos on his head. People didn't have tattoos back then.
No,
right? Like you might have one on your arm. Yeah.
Jesus.
And he could do a little cartwheel and shit. I mean, that was great. What do we have here? Antoine says he goes earlier. Midnights go to Japan. Redundancy. I think of Doom in Japan full time. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
If Doom's ever formed, right?
Yeah. Maybe there is no Doom. I mean, there's no WCW.
There's no WCW. And
there's no WCW. Those little trading cards. There's none of it.
If we take what Antoine said, that Nikita goes to WWF and Rotunda goes to WWF. And I can't remember who else there was one other person he mentioned, but we take
Von
those
Erich, I think,
off the table. I think eventually Vince makes a play for Kerry Von Erich earlier than he did. Maybe the whole Von Erich family goes. Maybe Vince buys Fritz out instead of that whole disaster between Jerry Jarrett and all of them. But then you've still got Memphis. But here's the other thing that you've got. And this really got our brains turning because I'm a genius. So you've got Dusty Rhodes. You've got, I said I'm a genius. You gave a weird look. What's that about?
Oh, I just something smelled strange. Is interesting. Something totally unrelated. My dogs.
Sometimes I fart and it smells really bad, and I'm like, "Ooh, who'd that?"
Yeah, no. I mean, it certainly didn't have anything to do with you calling yourself a genius. Go on, tell us about Dusty Rhodes.
So I'm a genius. So you're looking at Kevin Sullivan, Dusty Rhodes, Paul Dangerously, Jim Ross, Jim Cornette, all being free agents.
Yeah.
They're not all going to go to WWF.
No.
You're telling me they're not going to go start something then? They're not going to get investment money. Paulie Dangerously's not going to fucking talk some schmuck into fucking paying his bills.
Well, and Ted
earlier.
Turner's still out there. So how do you know Paulie Dangerously isn't talking to Ted Turner and he doesn't just say, okay, look, so the Crockett thing didn't work out, but what if we give you your own wrestling promotion?
Right.
So again, I mean, the Turner thing could still be in
Get
play.
maybe something like you either get something like an ECW years ahead of time.
Sure.
Right. Or you get another big national promotion. Right.
I don't think you would have had something as hardcore as ECW in 1988.
Probably not.
Again, I was 12 years old, so I can't really make that comment for sure. But
the voice of the revolution kind of thing. You know, with young talent they can afford.
And you've got, you know, we mentioned it earlier, and I'm positive you already gave the man a eulogy on Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out. But this is the thing. This is where we were talking at the top of the show about Ted Turner being such an important part of professional wrestling. If Ted Turner doesn't buy WCW and there's no competition for Vince, wrestling is a totally different animal.
Yep.
And we'll get into that at the end of the episode. But so let's say, I mean, we know that Turner's a guy that loves wrestling. Turner always wants wrestling on his channels. He's always said wrestling always makes money. Yep. And he's always been loyal to professional wrestling. Mm-hmm. So maybe somebody like Dangerously or Heyman, maybe Heyman and Jim Ross do team up and they get in his ear. Maybe he starts whatever a new third promotion, which becomes the second promotion, whatever. Right. Purist Wrestling? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Says, hey guys, welcome to the show.
What up?
So yeah.
And you've also got Kevin Sullivan, who's been unleashed and who could end up anywhere. You know, either starting a promotion, you know, him and Dusty might try to get Florida going again. But the old school territories probably live a little longer without WCW happening. It's just National Wrestling only has one company.
Mm-hmm. Right. So then the other question, and I don't know if we're getting too far ahead of ourselves here, but like, when does wrestling start dying out? Ultimate Warrior time period, 89?
So I was just about to say, this is why I put Savage and Hogan at WrestleMania 6. Is because we talked about this on the hard way back in the day. Was the more we talked about it, the more I believed the beginning of the end of the golden era was when the Ultimate Warrior beat Hogan.
Absolutely.
Because he wasn't up to it. Mm-mm. He wasn't up to it. And the babyface versus babyface dynamic never draws the way people think it will. It just never does.
Mm-hmm.
But they were out of top heels and they screwed up Mr. Perfect. They screwed up a bunch of guys. They screwed up Ted DiBiase, quite honestly. And so they didn't have anybody credible for the Warrior. He was given these kind of lackluster opponents during his run.
And he couldn't wrestle worth a hill of shit.
He's not worth shit as a wrestler. And so he can't match his opponent's styles. He can't mix it up.
Well, and his crazy wild promos and everything that drew you to the Warrior are really great in small doses. But once you start overexposing that guy, it just gets old, you know? Mm-hmm. So do you think, this is the question then, do you think that the fad dies out at that time the same as it did normally? Or do you think that Hogan and Savage carries it and it lasts a little bit longer because now you have Hogan, Savage, Flair, and then all these people coming in? The fad maybe doesn't die out so quick.
I think it doesn't die out so quick, but that's solely to the benefit really of WWF and nobody else. Right. And I think that you get that entrenched oligarchic corporate fascism thing way sooner.
A little earlier. Yeah. Well, and then, and to be, I don't know, hyperbolic, I guess, pro wrestling dies and sports entertainment is the only thing. But instead of that happening in the early 2000s, it happens in 1988.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of 2001. Right. Stewart Universe, there'd be no Attitude Era, no Austin 316 King of the Ring. Nope.
Right.
Nope.
There would
I think wrestling itself becomes considered more of like, remember when the hula hoop was a big deal? You know, like that's what wrestling becomes.
It goes the way of roller derby. basically.
Yeah,
It's still
exactly.
around, you
Exactly.
know. It's the 80s though. He has a cartoon, he has a toy line. There's a chance it's, you know, G.I. Joe, Ninja Turtles, He-Man. Maybe it gets revived as a nostalgic thing. But yeah, I don't
He
you
never
wouldn't
pivots
see
to the Sergeant Slaughter storyline, which God knows
no.
how much damage that did to the brand.
Right?
And he also has, you still have the steroid scandal coming, you know,
Mhm.
and that doesn't change because of this.
Right.
You know, maybe he puts the belt on guys like Brett and Perfect and Ric Flair sooner, but
Maybe the outcome of the trial changes. But you also have Vince going eventually whole hog with garbage men and sports stars, hockey guys, you know, roosters, et cetera, with nothing else as a buffer to that. You don't have the real wrestling or whatever you want to call it of the NWA or the AWA, Vern Gagne's vision. You only have this one vision of professional wrestling, and it's not the one that I would really want, I guess. And it happens in 88.
right.
So
Right.
there's that.
Antoine says, I think one thing happens. You mentioned ECW still happens, but it becomes the number 2. So who on earth comes there? Well, I mean, is it the same style? I think is the question, because ECW was descended from Tri-State Wrestling, which was run by a dude named Joel Goodhart. But the problem with ECW, with Tri-State, is that he booked every match as a hardcore match, every match on the card. Like he had no idea how to like build anything. So he'd sign all these super expensive people to come. The shows would draw really well. He'd have the Sheik there. He'd have Abdullah there. He'd have Terry Funk there. He'd have Eddie Gilbert there. They'd draw really well, but because the talent was so expensive, they wouldn't make any money. And so Todd Gordon basically took the audience that came to see Tri-State, and the people from that promotion who were doing all the back end stuff said, Todd, would you be willing to like fund the bare bones of something just so we can do this? We don't care if we make any money. And Todd just basically decided, hey, I'm not going to bring in all the big names. I'm going to bring in maybe 1 or 2, you know, per show.
Right.
Make it sustainable. And that's how ECW starts. So maybe ECW still happens, but does it happen in 1989? Maybe, because Tri-State starts in 1990. It's not like that far removed.
No, not really.
That Philly, that South Philly hardcore mentality is already there, you know? So who's to say, but, and who goes there? I'm pretty sure Heyman, Eddie Gilbert, you know, guys who went there. And then there's also the other thing that we haven't considered is who else in WWF is just worth nothing
And
if
leaves.
this all happens. Yeah. I mean, do you need Dino Bravo? Do you need Brutus Beefcake? He probably has a job.
Well, yeah, he's got a job because of Hogan. But a lot of those guys are gone and they're out kind of seeding the territories again.
Yep. Yeah. You got
so-
guys like Ken Patera, who's like signs autographs and wrestles on your show, right?
At what point does Herb Abrams start the UW? Well, no, he's already done with the UWF at this point, isn't he? So
No.
he's
No. So Herb Abrams doesn't start his UWF until the mid 90s, like 93.
so
92.
okay. So
92.
there's your big money mark or whatever you want to call him. You know, there's your guy who's got the cash.
The only thing bigger than a money mark that he was a mark for was cocaine.
Cacania.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, yeah. So let's say a dude like that gets a hold of, you know, Eddie Gilbert and shit like that, or Heyman or whoever. Yeah, there's different possibilities, and we haven't even mentioned Jerry Jarrett either. I don't know what Jerry Jarrett's doing in 1988.
I mean, the USWA lasts until like 1998. Like it was the last territory to go. You know,
Go on. I'm sorry. I'm just messing with shit.
I would make a Duke the Dumpster Drosy joke because I always have, and then he got arrested recently for something terrible, and I can't anymore.
Ooh. Oh.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunate.
Antoine, wrestling doesn't die as a whole. It dies in the West. Yeah.
I think it has a period
see
very
that.
similar to Britain. You know, what happened when World of Sport disappeared, where they went years without major wrestling promotion having a big TV deal. They still had it, but they were doing like holiday camps and doing Danielson's like doing the holiday camps over there in the early 2000s, because Britain didn't have a wrestling scene that was of any acclaim for like 15 years.
So here's a question from Antoine. Thank you. There is one person there who would be affected that I want to know what happens. Shawn Michaels. When do the Rockers break up?
91.
When do they show up in
88?
So they're brand new.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, to me that stays the same up until they split.
I know exactly what I would do,
because Shawn and Marty weren't going to get along forever, right? And Shawn was going to be Shawn.
Happens the exact same way it did.
Sure.
But you already have Ric Flair's replacement way before.
Yeah, sure.
It's Shawn Michaels. He ends up feuding with Ric Flair.
Sure.
Flair turns babyface. Michaels turns the Horsemen against him.
Sure.
New chapter begins. Arn Anderson is like his mentor.
And this is all off the top of your head, which I do have to say, I'm not going to call you a genius, but I am impressed.
Yeah. No, I think the Horsemen turn on Flair. He becomes the old babyface guy who loses all the time. And Michaels becomes the next.
Well, with the Horsemen, you have this whole new avenue. Because, like, say, with the Heenan family, it's like Heenan's bringing people in to try to get rid of Hogan, right? And with the Horsemen, it's like you have this whole different setup for who you can insert in, pull out, who's the new guy that you want to make the monster heel. Yeah, it changes the whole dynamic. I think we just hit the same button.
Yeah.
Hot take. In 88, Steamboat leaves WWF. I think Steamboat go to Flair. In 88, WWF are 21 people. Dynamite Kid or Blue Blazer, but in 89, that spot goes to Mr. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, that we kind of in the Horsemen. Is that what you mean? Because we did,
or it just becomes his kind of masterwork in ring competitive,
sure.
Opponent. Yeah, I could see a Hennig and Flair feud somewhere in 89 after a year of Hennig maybe being the fourth Horseman.
Well, and I can see all these guys also headlining if there are other promotions that are on the rise. Maybe Hennig doesn't have a place in WWF and he goes over there. Maybe Shawn Michaels sees the WWF as being too overcrowded and doesn't see room at the top and he goes to somewhere else.
And that's kind of the thing. I think Vince also continues this cycle of bringing people in for runs and then cycling them out because there's so many others at his disposal, He doesn't have to have long-term heels for years and years and years at a time, unless it's like a Ric Flair or somebody at that elite level. Roddy Piper is probably never a babyface. He's probably...
Well, people were going to make Piper a babyface no matter what. You know what I mean? But yeah. Keep going.
Pyrrhus says if Flair is in 1988, Flair does number 3 at 89 Royal Rumble and wins 3 years before 92 Royal Rumble. Very possible.
And that's another thing is you don't maybe... In this scenario, you never have a situation where the title is vacated and the Rumble is for the title. After the Rumble was for the title, after Flair won it, every year since then, the Royal Rumble has been for a shot at the world title at WrestleMania, right? Maybe that never happens. Right. And that whole episode we did 2 weeks ago doesn't make any sense and doesn't matter anymore.
Or it just doesn't happen till later. I mean, it at least is given a few more years to not start homogenizing the entire approach to Blurry Line makes a great point. And I would like you to elaborate a little bit on this, Joe, if you could. Hopefully in this scenario, the US doesn't have to deal with tribute shows like we did. What do you mean by tribute shows exactly? I think I might know, but I want to make sure I understand properly. Skewer Universe recognizing game over here. It's pretty interesting having Michaels head up the Horsemen, and then eventually
that sounds like something he'd say.
A new generation of Horsemen,
Sure.
It's not like he's going to run around with Arn and Tully forever.
He could have a new generation of Horsemen. It could be Razor Ramon, Diesel, Shawn Michaels.
Triple H,
right? Oh, sorry, I just hit this button on this light, and all of a sudden I'm super illuminated now.
You looked so moody earlier, and now
it's better. I don't know what happened.
I don't know.
It's all fuzzy now.
Killed the vibe, bro.
Whatever. Sorry. I was going for like a kind of a sensual vibe. How's that? Is that better?
No.
Sorry.
Antoine says, yeah, I agree with Professor. Piper was going to be a babyface, but maybe that legendary IC title doesn't happen. It's the world title. So let's get into that. So this ends if Flair goes to WWF, you have to end the year-long title reigns that are always just like AEW is doing right now, where guys are holding the belt for a month or 3 months or 6, but it's not a year like it was.
Right. And they're on their way out at this point anyway, by 88,
Yeah, you just can't do it. Like Hogan can't be champion for a year. Savage can't be champion for a year. So you have the belt moving around a lot more sooner. Mm-hmm. And I think you build up more guys who can carry the fucking company when Hogan eventually really peters out.
Yeah, so maybe then we end up with the WWF that isn't based around one big top guy and then a bunch of guys trickling. Maybe it's the way we see AEW now or every other promotion in the entire world, where guys kind of come in and out of that top spot, and a lot of different guys get a chance.
And you don't have that overkill where really Hogan is a replication of Bruno.
Sure.
I mean, Vince McMahon Sr. is the guy who made that template. So, Blurry Line says tribute shows were when the UK scene had absolutely no stars, so wrestlers would run bootleg WWF shows with wrestlers posing as WWF wrestlers.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. So, yeah.
That's a terrible idea.
Oh,
so is that where you get guys like Cold Stone, Austin Stevens?
Yes, you get guys doing impressions of famous gimmicks. Yes. Skewered Universe says Four Horsemen Wolfpack would be the thing. But I mean
how
oh my God. Oh
right?
My God. So basically wrestling is totally changed by this one thing.
Sure.
One move changes and it reshuffles the entire deck, which I think speaks to the importance of both Ted Turner.
Absolutely.
Ric Flair, really, at the time. And you get the Hogan Flair feud in the middle of their primes instead of years after it.
And you actually get a proper feud, because by the time it happened in WCW, F that. I've got no purpose for that.
No.
It's terrible.
No.
I mean, that doesn't even, it almost doesn't even count,
Pyrrhus says we need to do an episode of Into the Wrestleverse of what if timeless Tony Storm joins WWE in a big signing like Cody Rhodes in 2022. Maybe. It's the thing about that is,
when was she in WWE?
She left in 2022 or 2021. I think she got released. Yeah. Or let out of her contract. I think the problem though is she would never be able to do what she does in WWE. It just wouldn't be a one thing. In my opinion. Blair Line says we're all muted. Are we?
Can you hear us?
I can hear me.
I can hear you. No?
Yeah.
Maybe you've got the mute button on, Bleary Line. You ever think about that?
Did you mute us?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Jesus Christ.
What if the WWF fell into dire straits and Turner purchased WWF from Vince, bought it out completely? I mean, how close was that?
That's a realistic scenario to envision, given this whole thing. At some point in the late 90s, Vince wants to get the fuck out of wrestling.
Well, yeah.
Or he needs the backing. Man.
Yeah, well, whatever. So there's another option that I think is worth exploring if we've exhausted these options, and I don't know if we have. Yeah. It's Vince McMahon. It's 1988, and I know it's a little bit early on the timeline, but Blade, I know I'm annoying the shit out of you with this one, but I got to call this the Polka Dot Road. We might have to take a walk down the Polka Dot Road, because
Polka Dot Road, baby.
I think you know what the Polka Dot Road is, baby, and I think you know who walked that road and who walked that line, daddy, and that's the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. And you took a dude that was the baddest, American Dream, people's champ, the hardest working man, and you turned him into a dude who wore fucking polka dots and danced, and he still managed to get it over. But in a world of Red Roosters, gobbledygookers, Dukes the Dumpster Drosies, there's a whole lot of bad paths that this could have taken. You could have had Arn and Tully and Barry dressed up like cowboys, wearing little cowboy hats, riding horses to the ring. You could have had a whole terrible. You could have had Zeus in the fucking Horseman, if I need to say it again. There's a lot of different paths it could have taken. And I don't know. If anybody has any guesses, throw them up in the chat, I guess.
I have a question for the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Who's better at this? You got Degree booking Zeus into the Four Horsemen. You got me having Shawn Michaels overtake Ric Flair and carry on the Horsemen for decades.
Here's the thing, Blade. In the world of professional wrestling, there's what we'd all love to happen. There's our own fantasy booking, and I admire your fantasy booking. It's the same thing I would have done playing a wrestling video game when I was 13 years old. And then you also have the hardened, cynical world of a 49-year-old man who's lived through it all, who's seen it, who's seen Bastion Booger and the Headbangers dressed up like nuns. I've seen Meat. You know who Meat is. You know what Sean Stasiak did. What do you really? It would be wonderful to think, oh, if Vince McMahon had the Four Horsemen, he would have created the Four Horsemen in the WWF, but he probably wouldn't have. He probably would have made them into ice cream men. You know, he would have done something super effing stupid.
Pyrrhus says Tony left WWE in 2021 because of Vince, but Triple H was a big fan of Tony. HHH was in bad condition in 2021 with the heart stuff. I believe if Tony was in WWE in July 2022, things will be different. So you're not saying after she becomes Timeless in AEW, she goes to WWE, because Timeless didn't start till 2023, right. I believe. And then, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know how they would have used her. I look at how they use the women's roster currently. Not to say AEW does a great job, but I just don't see her being given the platform to really establish herself in the same way based on how
it's the leeway to be that character, you know.
She certainly would never become Timeless Tony Storm in WWE. I just don't see it.
I don't think so. No.
I
don't think they would have allowed her that.
Secure Universe also says, imagine a world with no billionaire VKM. Maybe that prevents so many gross things happening later on.
Could be. I'm pretty sure he was pretty fucking nasty back then too, though. But,
I think he was pretty terrible. Yeah.
But there would have been less of them.
He had the capacity to hurt less people. Yes.
Right. And he had the money to hurt less people, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, here you go, Skewered Universe. If we never get WCW, we'd never have Bischoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Bischoff might just be a male model in Sears catalog somewhere, you know?
He'd be doing like fucking LL Bean, you know.
Well, I mean,
catalog.
And then you think about how many, if you don't have WCW, that's the thing, we're sitting here thinking about all these changes they could have made, but if you don't have WCW, does Steve Austin have a platform? Does Raven have a platform? You know what I mean? Like, Shane Douglas.
Was in both WWE and WCW.
Right. But if he doesn't have that, you know, maybe he doesn't make I don't know how him and Heyman, how everything worked out, but like, let's say he doesn't make that connection with Heyman in WCW and it doesn't carry over to ECW.
Clear line. Bischoff would be selling Teach Yourself Karate VHS.
Dude, yeah. That's absolutely what he would do. That's hilarious. Yeah, so I don't know. That's our trip into the Wrestleverse.
Into the Wrestleverse, people.
There's a lot of doorways. There's a lot of little what ifs. There's a lot of little things that if one thing had happened differently, what's the snowball effect? What's the ripple effect or the butterfly effect? We'll definitely be revisiting this idea in future episodes. Unless anybody
if you
else
have an
any
idea for Into the Wrestleverse, hit us up at prowrestlingforeverpod@gmail.com and let us know. Give us that hypothetical situation that what would the wrestling landscape look like if it had happened? And
let us use our brilliant imaginations to try to figure it out.
All right, everybody. Thank you all so much. This has been a lot of fun. I hope you had fun too. We'll be back next Monday with books, and we'll have watched SummerSlam 1988. and we will review it. Join me this Friday with books to talk about whatever happens this week on AEW.
That's right. Go then. There are other worlds than these. This is Pro Wrestling For Life.
Ta-ta! Professional wrestling. Sickos Club.